All right, guys, this is my gear review post PCT. Feels very odd to be saying that, given it feels like it was just yesterday I was giving you my gear list of everything I was taking over there, to be now home and finished, and going over the stuff that I took and telling you what did and didn't work is pretty freaking crazy, to be honest. I'm going to go over sort of all of my main big categories. I'm going to go over my lighter pack list because I think that's probably the easiest way to make sure I don't miss anything. And let's see what worked, what didn't. To be completely honest up front, I was pretty stoked with all of my gear. Everything that I took over I had used at least once before, if not multiple times on different trips. So I knew that the gear I was taking I liked. It was just whether I was going to actually need all of it or whether there was stuff that as I was hiking I would come across and realize that I needed. But yeah, let's get into it. Basically, let's suss out what I took. Also, before I forget, after this I'm going to be doing a frequently asked question, like tell all on the PCT. So if there's any questions you have regarding my trip, anyone's trip, your future trip, your friend's trip, etc., drop it in the comments below, because I'm going to try and give you guys any of the info you're after, or just sort of the questions that I got asked frequently on trail, both here on YouTube and on Instagram as well. And yeah, give you all the info you're looking for, because I know before I started hiking, I spent so much time researching and Googling and reading blogs and even reaching out to past hikers and just saying like, how the hell did you do this? And once you're on trail, it seems like, oh my God, it's so obvious. Of course, that's how you do that. But when you're planning, it's not obvious. So yeah, drop the questions below in the comments, and I'll do that after this video. But for now, let's go over my gear. Okay, like I said, I'm gonna be going through my lighter pack list, which I will link down below, to go over each of the main categories. So first one up is shelter. And as most of you probably know, I started with the Durston X-Mid Pro 2. I really like this tent. I loved it. Super light, super easy to put up, really great if it's raining because it just goes up, your inside doesn't get wet, because there's not an inner mesh and an outer layer, it's just one DCF structure. But I swapped halfway through, actually just after the Sierras, so earlier than that, because I was having issues with the zips. And to be completely honest, almost everyone I met that had this tent, the X-Mid Pro, so the DCF version, also had issues with their zips. That being said, I sent it back to Durston and they fixed it free of charge. All I had to do was pay to send it to them, and then they sent it back. They actually sent it back to Australia for me because I had another tent. But that's just one thing to be aware of. The zips this year seemed to be a bit of an issue on trail. There was a lot of people that had, zip problems. But otherwise, I absolutely love this tent. Like, everything else is epic. The size is perfect. It's just a really great tent, but the zip factor was a problem, not just for me, but for other people I met. But they were also great in terms of like fixing it free of charge. Some people sent them back and they got sent like old demo tents. So they did seem to sort it out. But yeah, anyway, that was a good tent, but I didn't end up finishing with it. I swapped to the Nemo Hornet Elite 2P. I loved this tent. So it's heavier. Again, I will put the actual like grams and pounds or ounces, whatever it is, down below in my lighter pack list. But I really liked it. So this tent is more traditional in terms of it has an inner mesh and an outer fly. I loved that because I really liked not putting the fly on most of the time so that I could see the stars. It was cooler in terms of airflow. It was a really nice tent. So this is a 2P. It would be squishy for two people, definitely. But I enjoyed this tent. I think I'll probably swap between the two for future adventures, depending what I'm doing, where I'm going. This is also not a hiking pole tent, so you have to carry the poles as well. But that being said, it's under a kilo for all of it. Can't remember the exact grams. I'll find it for you, but I really liked it. So I don't know which would be my favorite of the two. I think maybe the Nemo, purely because I like being able to have the fly off. So both tents were great. Durston zippers, bit of an issue, but I'm sure that's something they'll fix. Yeah, both really good tents, basically. Okay, then what else have we got on here? The rest, oh, okay, ground sheet. So I started with the Durston ground sheet because I had the Durston. In the end, I just swapped to a piece of Tyvek for a really ridiculous reason, but I hated the way the Durston ground sheet felt when it was dirty. Actually, that's not the only reason. That was one thing. It was like the dirt would like sort of stick to it. That's a me problem. But I also found because the ground sheet's just like, it's almost like another just normal, what is it, like polynylon fabric. It didn't feel like it really protected it against sharp, like bits of twig or like anything sort of sharp and pointy. So I ended up swapping to Tyvek, and that definitely, it was more like textured Tyvek, so it was thicker. It felt like it just protected my tent more. Just depends what you're camping on, but that was a swap I made that I was pretty happy with. I didn't feel like there was as many things trying to poke through the bottom of my tent. Extra pegs, you lose pegs, break pegs all the time. I had all sorts of pegs. I think that's a bit of a personal preference. Everyone has their opinion. I honestly think they're all sort of similar and they all weigh like a gram difference for the better-ish ones anyway. Yeah, do as you please there. I had Nemo, I had MSR, I had DAC or whatever the ones that come with the Durston are. I also had some random cheapy ones. They'll do the job. Next up, sleeping. So, okay, I went over there with, oh, this table's a bit bouncy. My Nemo Extreme Tensor, R value is 8.5. I loved this sleeping pad. I went over with the Mummy regular shape, just because it was slightly smaller, slightly, not cheaper, slightly, well it was cheaper, slightly lighter. I ended up getting a hole in it and I lucked out when I was in Mammoth. I went into the gear store just to ask them like what to use to replace it, and someone from Nemo was there at the time doing a talk to the staff, and he actually replaced it for me on the spot and gave me the regular version, so the non-Mummy, which I actually liked more. It was nicer having that little bit more space, which obviously is, I mean, probably goes without saying, but I would definitely just go this shape in the future rather than like save the minimal grams. That was nice. I also went out to the States with the plan to not have a pillow and to just use my like clothing, dry sack with like my warm stuff stuffed in it as a pillow. That's what I've always done and it's been fine. But when I was there, one of my good friends, Em, had come over with 2 pillows because she didn't know which one she was going to use. And literally on the first night, she's like, I'm going to test one and you can have the other one. This is like the first day I met her. I was like, okay, cool. She tested this not even on night one, the night before we started. This is the Enlightened equipment. And she had another one that she was like, she preferred. So she's like, do you want this? And I was like, yeah, okay, awesome. I've never really used a pillow with an attachment, and I think in the past that's what's annoyed me about them, because they just slip off. I know that not all, but a lot of them have this or some sort of thing you can attach them to your pad with, but this was awesome. I really liked it. That's probably super obvious to most people, but this is the Enlightened equipment pillow. I don't know the exact name. Again, I'll put it here somewhere, but I really liked it. It was definitely worth having it, and I'm glad in the end that I ended up having a pillow, because again, for the small amount it weighs, makes sleeping like way nicer. I also had the Neve Gear Waratah quilt. Mine is the -8 comfort. I really loved this. I really like the feeling of the fabric. I'm a bit of a weirdo when it comes to the way stuff feels on my skin, so I slept in like full clothes most of the time anyway. But yeah, I really like this. I love the way it attaches to your sleeping pad. It was warm enough for me majority of the time. There was sometimes in the Sierra when it was a little bit chilly, but I'm a very cold sleeper. So yeah, for the price, these quilts are awesome. There's sort of nothing almost anywhere near the price point, I don't think, for these. And yeah, I'm stoked. I loved it. That was great. All right, what's our next category? Storage. Okay, so like my pack and stuff, liner, etc. Okay, so my pack was the Osprey, the Eja Pro. I don't know if you can see that, but full disclosure, I am an ambassador for Osprey, but regardless of that, I really like this pack. It is framed It weighs under a kilo still. It's like 935 grams or something. I would wear this pack again and again, even if I wasn't an ambassador for these guys. I really liked it. The only issues I have with it, the hip belt is only adjustable at the front and you can't replace it. So when any of it gets too big for you, it's sort of too bad. That was a little frustrating. But other than that, I was stoked with this pack. It's really comfortable. It was bigger than I needed, but what it just meant is that I didn't need to compress any of my gear inside. Like I just had my sleeping bag quilt just in the bottom loose, like inside the dry lining. But yeah, it was really easy. I really liked it. Love that pack. I started with, as well, a pack liner, like a lot of people do. Few reasons. I just minimized plastic. I didn't have to keep replacing it, etc. But it's heavier than a garbage bag or a nylofilm bag, and I ended up just swapping to those and giving this one to Sean to take home when he came over there. It totally did the job, but I just found I didn't need it. I just changed it to a garbage bag, and that did the job. So that's something I would change. Not that there was anything wrong with it. It does exactly as advertised, but I just didn't need it. Okay, dry sacks and stuff. So when I went over there, I had, you know, a variety of sacks and things. I think I originally maybe had my quilt in this. I think I had my clothes in this. Within like 3 days, I ended up ditching both these. Well, not ditching them, but not using them, to just have the one big liner and have everything stuffed in. So I'd have the liner, then have my sleeping bag and my warm clothes, and then yeah, everything else on top of that. So again, do as advertised, but I just didn't need them. What else? Oh, okay, so I had for my toiletries and my electronics, I had a couple of little packing cube ultralight things. Like this. So this was my toiletries. I had the same, but in black for my electronics. They were great. I kept them the whole time. People use Ziplocs and stuff because they weigh similar, but Ziplocs get holes in them and they break. And I mean, I had some Ziplocs like my first aid and stuff, so you can use a bit of both, but these did the job. Do you need them? Not necessarily, but I really like them. Again, they're Osprey. But yeah, they lasted me the whole time easily. I liked it. But yeah, your old Ziploc would definitely do the job for the most part too. It's just that depending what's in it, stuff tears it and you have to replace it, and then it's not waterproof. The other ones, that doesn't happen. Okay, oh, my poop kit. That again I had in this bag and I kept it in that the whole time. I just had it attached on the outside of my pack. I know some people hate having stuff attached on their pack, but it didn't bother me at all. It's easy access. While we're here, let's go over the poop kit, because that's one of my favourite things. Not favourite things, but it was some of the stuff in it was like really handy in terms of gear. So what did I have in here? I would always just have a hand sanitizer, which I don't have in there now, but always would have that in there. My bidet. This is like my favourite piece of gear, okay? This little thing attaches on the end of a smart water bottle, and is a bidet. Clean yourself, front and back. You just feel fresh and it's nice. It also wildly minimizes how much toilet paper you need. I would honestly, it obviously depends on your bathroom habits, but I'd use like half a tissue after going to the bathroom, number 2s, and that would do the job. Full disclosure, my husband does not find the same thing when he goes. He said they don't quite work for him. Still needs either a lot more water or still needs to use lots of tissues, wet wipes, etc. So each to your own, but I really like it. Dirtsaw Deuce does the job. There's lots of these bad boys out here, but as a trowel, did exactly what I expected, and it's super light, didn't ever break, so that was fab. Oh, obviously, I'd also have in there a bag to put any used toilet paper in, because you have to pack it all out. I actually just used like dog poo bags and would just like replace them all the time, because they're black as well, so you can hide your stuff. Not hide your stuff, but you don't need to look at your dirty toilet paper. So that was fab. So success with all the poop kit. Oh, okay, and then my pea cloth. I used the Kiwi Ultralight one. This is a brand out of New Zealand. There's also the Cooler Cloth. I think they pretty much both do the same thing. But yeah, I really liked it. Having a pea cloth is unreal. It is something that at first I was like, are these gross? I don't really know, but you have like a waterproof outside layer and then an absorbent antimicrobial inner layer. That could be the wrong word. Anyway, open it up, pat yourself dry, close it up, attach it to your pack. It's on the outside. The sun helps sterilize it. You can obviously wash it whenever you go past a water source anywhere, give it a bit of a rinse, let it dry in the sun. That was epic, and again, completely minimizes the need for toilet paper. That was great. I've actually found myself since being home being like, wow, it would be nice if I could just pee here now and I had my pea cloth. That's just coming home off trail life things, I think. Okay, next thing, water. Okay, so this is something I swapped. Okay, I don't have it here because I swapped it, but I started the trail with the Katadyn Be Free filter, which I liked at first. It seemed to slow down a lot after a while, but all filters do that. I ended up swapping to a Sawyer for a few reasons, but the main and my favorite being the coupling. So this is your filter, this is a coupling. So this allows you to attach it to a bottle and just hang and gravity filter it, your water. So what I would do, fill my water up into this bladder at a source, attach this, and then attach some sort of secondary bottle so I'd have my dirty water into my clean water, and you can just hang this up and it just gravity filters. And I know this is not new news, this is something that's been around for a long time, but it took me way too long to start doing this on trail. And once I did it, I was like, what have I been doing? It's so easy. Every lunch and every time at lunchtime and at camp, I would do this. So you don't have to sit there filtering water, because filtering water is like my least favorite thing to do on trail. It's just like the most annoying chore. It takes time, especially like all filters slow down. Yeah, this was awesome. But again, that's my favorite thing about the Sawyer. The Platypus, I believe, do it as well. I've never used one, so I can't comment on it. But I think Katadyn actually probably has their own one with this option. So more or less they're all the same. I don't think any were quicker than others. People have different opinions on that. I don't know. They're more or less all kind of similar, I reckon. But yeah, I found that really good. I liked it. That was one swap I made that I was glad, because the Katadyn I didn't have the coupling, and yeah, but that was a good swap. Okay, what have I just lost? Oh, here. Lost the lid to my platypus bladder. That's classic me behaviour. Okay, what's going on here? Ooh, blue sky again. Okay, cooking. Loved my cooking setup, wouldn't change any of it, but let's go through it. Okay, so I had the Toaks 750ml pot. Loved it, perfect size. I could fit 2 ramen in here with TVP. It was full, but it fit perfect. Didn't need anything bigger. I had, something I did add, which again, super obvious, but I didn't have it first. Bandana, just to have inside, to like then put all your stuff in so it doesn't rattle around, and also just to like dry and clean your stuff at the end of each night. So that's an addition, a little bandana. Stove, I had the pocket rocket. Loved it, easy, light, etc. Does what you'd expect. That was awesome. Wouldn't change that. The only thing, I took it over in the case. I got rid of the case, obviously. But that was great. And then I had a collapsible cup, which I really liked having this as well. I would, sometimes like at lunchtime if we made coffee, I mean, you can also use your other pot, but I would often at night time, I would make an entree of mashed potatoes and put that in here while my ramen cooked in my pot. So I liked having both. Did I need both? No, but I used them both a lot. I went through 3 of these on trail because I'm an idiot and I kept leaving them outside, and mice or like small animals would bite little holes in them. So that's the only thing with the silicone. It's great. Just don't leave it where animals can get to it because they will fuck with it. I've had other stuff that's happened to, and again, classic me, I just keep forgetting and leaving it outside. And I also had the Cedar Summit Spork, long-handled Spork. It's a long-handled Spork. It does as you'd expect. I don't think it's any better or worse than other Sporks. I preferred this over the Toaks one because the Toaks one is sharp. And with someone like me using something like this, I would probably put a fucking hole in it. So yeah, I liked that. That was good. But again, I'm sure lots of other Sporks do a great job. But the long handle is important because then if you have like freeze-dried meals in there that come in the sort of bag thing, a long spork is nice so you don't get your hands dirty reaching for food. Again, that's maybe like a me thing, but I think it's important. What else? I took over my pocket knife from my parents. Hold on, I'm gonna go get it. It's a big boy. Like, I definitely didn't need one this size, but it's special to me because it's from my mum and dad. About midway through, I got on a plane. I had a friend's wedding and I flew there. Long story short, I'm an idiot and I kept it in my check-in. So I had to send it to myself further ahead on trail and it didn't arrive, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, long story short, I ended up without it on trail and swapped to having just like a little knife. This definitely does a job, but you need something sharp on trail for all sorts of shit. I mean, not lots, but cutting a guy line, I don't know, random stuff. I would buy blocks of cheese, cut up cheese, etc. But I think something small like this or like one of the little tiny pocket knives would totally do the job, whether it's got a knife on it or a tiny pair of scissors, although they kind of suck. I think just as long as you have like a knife. Again, loved this because it's sentimental to me, but I didn't need something that big for sure. So that's something I probably would have swapped just like this, which I did accidentally in the end because I'm a kook and left it in my check-in, my not check-in, my carry-on. I can't remember if I took over with me or not pot legs. I think I might have, and then I got rid of them. So like the stabilizing legs that go on your gas canister. Anyway, I think I started with them. I did not need those. I mean, they do the job that you need them to, but you definitely don't need them, and I didn't miss them. I don't even remember what happened, if I lost them or if I chucked them out. Anyway, I guess that's on my lighter pack list. I wouldn't bring that, so that's something you don't need. Okay. Electronics. Ooh, okay, yeah. Gonna go get them. BRB. I'm back. Okay, electronics. So, for power, I took over 2 Nightcore power banks, 20,000 and 10,000. So I had 30,000 all up. This was definitely overkill, but I wanted to be able to film stuff the whole time. I didn't want to ever worry about running out of battery. I wanted to be able to use my phone as much as I wanted and needed without being like, oh shit, I'm gonna run out. The longest time between charges, I think, was like 7 days. 6 or 7, I can't remember, in the Sierras. I probably got close to going through all of this, but again, it's not like I was being careful with my phone. So yeah, I think most people I would take 20,000, probably 2 10s. Some people only had 1, but I know they had to be way more careful with their phones. And especially when you're using far out all the time and you're taking photos or videos or whatever, it's nice not to think about that. So I would take 20,000 milliamps for a normal person not wanting to like capture lots of content. Yeah, but this was a good amount for me, basically. Okay, what else? I had the Nightcore, what is this one? The NU20 Classic. This was perfect. I charged this thing like twice. I mean, I didn't use it a lot, to be completely fair, because it was a light early and late for majority of the trail. But it's great. White light, red light, flashing light. Again, all you need, and it weighs nothing. Well, not nothing, but it weighs 38 grams. That's nothing. It's like a sip of water. Garmin InReach Messenger. I loved this. So this was something before I got on trail. I used to have the Mini 2, the Mini, not the Mini 2. And I found the battery life crap. I sort of found the satellite not great. And I was like, am I doing something wrong? Anyway, I looked into it, researched it. It turns out the original Mini, the battery life was just sort of not great on it because I wanted to have point-to-point tracking as well, not just for messaging. So I did a bit of research and I came up with the InReach Messenger. So this I had on between 10 and 30 minute tracking the whole time, which obviously you don't need. That's like overkill for 10 minutes, but 30 was nice. So my friends and family could see where I was at all times. I'd message my husband every day and then I'd be able to message my friends ahead of me or behind me on trail. And I would only have to charge this thing max once a week. I would just charge it when I was in town, but it never ran out of battery the whole time. So I found this really good. Also, friends that had the Mini 2 on trail found like their satellite connectivity was worse than this. Like I could send a message and it would send pretty much immediately unless you're in tree cover, because then I feel like they all just go to shit. Versus the Mini 2 definitely seemed to be a lot slower. Big difference as well between having it like on your pack here versus like on your hip. Because sometimes I originally had it up here, then I swapped it to my hip belt, where I definitely noticed the battery went quicker and it was slow to send messages, both because it just wasn't as connected to the satellite. So it was always searching to connect, which eats the battery up, and then because it wasn't connected, it was slow to send messages, versus when I had it up here, send messages and receive messages really quick and the battery lasts longer. So yeah, but I was stoked with that. I would highly recommend that over the Mini, which I had previously. What else did I have electronics wise? Oh, I had my Garmin. I have the Fenix 7S Solar. I liked it. I've had Garmin's in the past, like the 945 and everything. I don't think this does anything. Well, it does heaps of stuff. That one doesn't, but I don't use any of that stuff. So did I need this version? Not necessarily. And the battery maybe dies quicker, but it tracked everything. I mean, it works as a Garmin does, as expected. So I was happy with it. And it's a bit prettier than my other one. A couple things I got. Well, one electronic was, I got this little sleeping pad inflator, the Alpenglow one. I got that at PCT days. It's definitely not something you need. Prior to that, I was just using one of those inflator bags, but it's kind of nice to just plug it in, inflate your pad while you do your other stuff. I think the crew told me that it took like 3 minutes or something, but I feel like it definitely takes longer than that. And I still had to put a few blows in at the end, but it's much easier than like if you're trying to blow the pad up, which you're not meant to do anyway, because then it gets moist inside and moldy. Yeah, I will still take this with me and use it. Do you need it? Not necessarily, but it weighs like nothing. I think it weighs like 8 grams or something. I'm going to double check that, but it is really light. Again, does what you expect. Something else I got from those guys actually, that probably should have been in the cooking section, but it's new. This little bad boy from the same company, Alpenglow. It is a like fuel to fuel connector, so that you can fuel transfer, that's what it does. So you can put any fuel that's in like a can, if you've got a little bit left over, into a different one. So what we'd often do when we get to towns, if there was lots of like half full cans, we could fill up our can with all of those and top it off rather than buy a new one. So that's really cool. Weighs again like maybe 3 grams. I'll double check those numbers, but it weighs like nothing. Yeah, so that's electronics. What else? Random extras. Okay, so I had, okay, when I went over, I took a sit pad over, like a small sit pad. I don't have it with me anymore because I got rid of it when I was over there. I traded that to a black foam mat. I'm gonna try put a photo of one in here because again, I don't have that because I left it when I came home. Which I preferred because it was longer, so it was easier to like lie out at lunchtime. Yeah, both again do as expected. Which did I prefer? I think just the longer one in general is just nice to have a bit more room. It obviously weighs a little bit more, but it yeah, does the job. That was something that I added. Then what else? This was just my bag of random extra stuff. You know, tape. What's this? What's the word for this? Duct tape. I had tenacious tape. earplugs, a lighter. That was just like my random repair stuff, but I didn't change any of that up. Tenacious tape, that was good to have. I used that to fix a hole in my sleeping quilt. A friend used it on a tent. It's handy for that. Duct tape, I mean, it's handy to have a bit with you on trail, but you can obviously buy it everywhere you go, so carrying it the whole time isn't really necessary. Yeah, I think that's my main stuff gear-wise. Oh, and also my bear vault, which obviously is not essential everywhere, depends. So in the Sierra you needed a bear canister. In parts of Washington you needed something bear proof. A friend gave me this when he got off trail, so that's why I used that in Washington, but a lot of friends just had like Ursax or maybe Adotech or something. There's another brand of bear bag that I think I would use preferentially next time, just because it's lighter and smaller, and these are bulky and annoying. This is just nice because it's got like special meaning to me, but in terms of what I would choose preferentially, it would be a bag of some sort, except in certain national parks where you need to have a bear canister. So yeah, do the job as expected. I think that's everything gear-wise. I'm gonna next do a video on my clothing and go over like what I did and didn't like there. I think, spoiler, I liked most of it. Again, I'd used most of it, but kind of handy to go over it regardless. Yeah, again, any questions that you want me to talk about, gear, trail life, trail angels, everything, drop them in the comments below because I will make a video going over that. All right, thank you guys.